This DVMax training session will provide an overview of the client word processing functions. First, let's search for a client. In this case, a client whose last name starts with MANZ. That takes us directly to a Client General Information screen. At the top of the Client General Information screen, we see the three tabs, one of which is Word Processing. If we click on the Word Processing tab, we're taken directly to the Word Processing function screen. Presented in front of us is a list of documents already installed within DVMax. Your new DVMax system will come complete with various documents ready to go for use for client functions as well as for patient functions. Since we arrived at this word processor through the Client General Information screen, these word processing documents will apply specifically to a client. There will be separate documents that will apply specifically to a patient. If we see the item that we wish, for instance, a collection letter, notice in this case there are three different collection letter templates. One for a mild nudge, it's time to pay, one more aggressive, and one would be the most aggressive. Let's open the mild collection letter by double-clicking on it. That takes us directly to a word processing screen, which looks like many other word processors that you may be familiar with. Notice in this case the document is already complete. It even has imported from DVMax this client's balance, the balance that is currently owing on their account. Keep in mind that this was a collection notice, therefore it needed to have not only the client's information, but also information pertaining to today's date, as well as information as to the previous balance owing by this client. Where did DVMax get this information? Well, there are various areas within DVMax that can be called upon through the use of references. If we click on the reference function to view the references for this document, we can now see that in fact DVMax was following commands to insert the practice name here, to insert the practice address here, to insert the practice telephone number here, etc. More on that later. You do not need to know any code functions in order to create this. We are simply using a template within DVMax to insert these. Let's turn off the reference function and view the document as it was originally prepared for us. If this is the document that we want and we're ready to send it, we can actually print this document and save a copy of this document within the client's word processing screen. This document, as it sits right now, is specifically set up for use for virtually any client because it would import that client's information, that client's telephone number, that client's address. But in this case, we want to save a copy of this frozen in exactly the format it is viewed on the screen right now. In order to do that, we must go to the File menu and select Save As. DVMax provides a save screen which permits us to rename this document if we need to, or we could leave the name as it was, collection letter mild. It also has prepared this document for being saved as a case document. A case document means that this document, as it will be completed, will be saved specifically with this particular client. Right now there are no case documents that have been saved for this client. So in order to demonstrate, let's save this particular document as a case document by clicking the Save as Case Document button. The next time we go to open a word processing document, notice now there is a case document saved on record for this client, in this case called exactly the same name that we saw in the last screen, Collection Letter Number 1 Mild. It even tells us the date upon which this item was saved for this client. So, the protected documents are used to assemble the letter, but will change each time it is used for a different client or on a different date or a client that has a different balance. Whereas the collection letter that was saved as a case document will be frozen in time based on the way it looked on 4/12/2008. This particular case document will only be seen when we access this particular client. Therefore, each client can have their own case documents saved for them. This will also be the case when we're saving documents for a patient. What if there's a different item that we want to open up? Let's open a different word processing document. For instance, perhaps we want to write a letter to the client. So what we need is a document that will create a letterhead for us and put the client's address and salutation at the top. Let's open that. In this case, DVMax has opened up a letterhead with our name and address at the top. Included with that is today's date, which is automatically inserted based on DVMax's direction, as well as the client's address, as well as the client's salutation. If we want to write a letter to the client, this is a great document because all we have to do is to insert the body of the letter right here. So, for instance, if we highlight that area, because we don't need those particular words, and insert what we want to write to the client, we now have a letter which will go directly to this particular client, and all we need to do is to print it out and sign it and mail it. We now want to save a copy of this exact document along with this particular client's record. Therefore, we can look up at this document anytime we wish. We don't need to print a copy for ourselves. In order to do that, we simply go to the File menu, choose Save As, and again, we can save this document as a case document. In this case, we can even rename this document to whatever we want. That particular document now has been saved for this client's record. At the top, notice there it is. It's got today's date, and it's saved right next to the previously saved case document. These two case documents will only come into view when we view this particular client's record, because they are saved as case documents specifically for this one client. What if we would like to change the appearance of one of our protected documents so that from now on, every time we used it, it looked different? For instance, let's open up the letterhead. Let's suppose we don't like this particular appearance for the date. We can highlight the date, select the Format menu, select Character, and we can now change that. Perhaps we would like it to be bold. Perhaps we would like it to be larger. And then we click OK. That will be the new look and appearance for this date from now on if we save this particular version as the new protected document. In order to save this item as the new protected document, we would have to go to the File menu, choose Save As, and we would have to give this particular save item the exact same name as the item we're trying to replace. Notice that the name of the previous item was asterisk letterhead hyphen plain. The asterisk is part of the name or the description. In order to overwrite the original, we must place an asterisk in the name just as it is located in the name above. Notice upon doing so, DVMax recognizes that item as a protected document, and it changed the class type from a case document to a protected document. So now if we choose the Save button, DVMax will confirm that it is our intent to overwrite the original letterhead. If that is not our intent, if instead we just wanted to create another version of the letterhead, we could re-enter by selecting a different name. In this particular case, if it is indeed our intent to overwrite the original, simply click the Overwrite button. That means that from now on, regardless of what client we're working with, when we select to open up a letterhead hyphen plain, it will look exactly like this. As a matter of illustration and clarification, let's now take a look at a patient word processor. If we go back to the Client General Information screen, we now again can see the patients are listed at the bottom left of the screen. If we select one of those patients, notice that the patients have their own set of tabs at the top of their General Information screens. Included is a tab called Word Processing. If we click on the Word Processing tab, we're taken to a word processing list of documents that is quite different from those that are stored for the client. Notice that these apply specifically to a patient. For instance, an anesthesia log, an against medical advice form, a history sheet, a euthanasia form, a health certificate. These would not apply to a client, but would rather apply to a patient.